it's her.
Yeah, hello everyone. How are we doing?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
And seeing love for your character all these years later.
Yeah, well, it's easy to talk about in reflection. You know, during the first of that, you know, we had no idea what was going on, right? We thought we were at a Halloween party. We're all laughing at each other's costumes, and you know, his foam, Thor's, you know, his foam hammer and all that is ridiculous. But you know, at the end of it all, the takeaways is the greatest friendships and bond to go through such a kind of a global experience. Like, you know, 22 films to make the 23rd, right? It's a Endgame, and we got to experience a lot of stuff together. And the most important part of it was, you know, this is also very, my friendships with them is so quite important to me, and that's kind of the greatest takeaway outside the impact of, like, look, you know, everyone is because a part of that all around the world. And it's pretty special to go to sit in the cinema and see those movies. And I would go sneak in the back and just to kind of be with people, because it's such a wonderful experience to watch people watch a movie that you've done. It's pretty amazing.
Getting to see it through their eyes and what they're experiencing as well.
Yeah.
And then you also, it didn't end for you because you did return to the series, Hawkeye. What was that like?
Yeah, it was great to dive more into the character a bit and have it in a world that's more grounded and yeah, to me it was a lot more fun to do, I think, and more to explore for the character, which is nice. You know, always wanted to do more of that stuff. You know, then there's the incident that happened, and you know, I got to get my body in shape to be able to sling arrows again and dive around and do all that stuff. But you know, I'm there. I'll get there. I'll do it again.
Marvel is so expansive. It's got a huge universe. There's been so many crossovers and cameos, characters appearing in movies and TV series. And so I'm curious, which two character dynamic did you enjoy seeing develop the most? And it can be any, not just necessarily your own.
I think they were really good about really a lot of, especially all the original 6, because there was so much of them, exposure of them, and then to see him change and shift from, you know, like the Civil War and all that, from the bickering of Civil War and on. I think the transgression of them all. If you look at even Captain America and how that character has really changed, it could be really bland, that character, but they kept making the characters more interesting and finding more faults in them. And Marvel's really good at finding the humor to make fun of itself when it needs to, then taking it serious when it needs to be serious. And with the character development, I think that's why I think there's such fandom for the Marvel universe, just because the characters and what they're put against them. The movies are the movies, but it's the characters, I think, that's ultimately what audiences care about. And they're really good at expanding them a bit, you know. And I don't know if there's any in particular. I mean, I love Fat Thor. I mean, that was a big surprise to me. I was in the damn movie, I had no idea. And he showed up one day, I'm like, dude, what happened? What are you doing? We were at the craft service tables. I'm like, maybe you want to lay off the donuts, bub? And I saw he's in some fat suit. I had no idea, because he'd give us in Endgame. There's so many like micro movies within itself, right? But we weren't given the whole script. I barely knew what I was doing. I mean, my bit was all with Scarlet. So it was funny to see, and then like all of a sudden the Hulk's talking. I'm like, what is going on? But so there's all these really, all those original characters got to have so many different paths. You know, I went to Ronin. There's so many cool sort of pathways that the characters went down. I thought were really fascinating. A lot of that was exposed in Endgame.
I would love to move into something a little bit more recent, because in the last few months you've been busy talking about a new project, a pretty serious project, because you wrote a book.
Yes.
Yeah, you wrote a book. It obviously retells the events of your accident and the aftermath, which you go into great detail about. Can you discuss how the idea to write this book came about?
It was the summer, like 6 months after the incident, and I was always one to, it was my life. Recovery was my life. It still is, but not as intensely. And so I was always having dialogue about it with my family because they all had their own experiences. This was the ripple effect of that incident on January 1st was quite expansive. So I was very vocal about with my family how to navigate through this in perspective-wise, how to, my mom was terrible at it, and I had to redirect her perspectives. I'm like, she wanted to burn the snowcat, she wanted to do all these things. I'm like, no, this is not how we look at this. We can look at it from this perspective. And I had to sort of lead that charge because I guess I was the one that was injured, but they also had a lot of damage done to them, to their spirits and their hearts, and it was my duty to relieve them of that burden. So then I thought of the idea of writing something, the book, but I'm not a writer, and it was just like, hold on, I have to be accountable for all these words and to tell. And like, what do I have to do? Like an interpretive dance too to tell people? What else do I got? No, I said forget it. I don't want to go down the headache and learn just the structure of writing a book. I had somebody actually help me with that part of it because I didn't know exactly how to do it. So I punted the idea. I wrote an album instead. That was a lot easier too because I know music and I could just express it that way. So I did that first. But then when it came down to it, and I did find somebody that I could just pretty much talk to for a year. And we wrote this outline that I felt comfortable with of how the story goes. We could just then notate it, and then that's kind of how it went down. So once I found somebody I trusted, and then I could feel comfortable enough to share explicitly how the story went down, and then I decided, okay, I'll figure I'll write it then. And he was really good about taking all my notes, everything I wrote and everything I talked about, and then putting it down and kind of cut and pasting all the stuff. It was quite a process, but glad to do it. Right? It's quite cathartic, as you can imagine, to do it all. And then they're like, all right, you need to narrate this thing now. And then I'm like, yeah, damn it, all right, whatever, sure, I'll do it. But it's the greatest thing that I learned in all of it, and dying and coming back and all. It's like the greatest things happen in your life when you kind of think you're right and you get out of your own way and just let sort of other things happen. Wonderful things happen, and I keep learning every day to get out of my own damn way. And it's a beautiful, beautiful sentiment. I highly recommend it.
The narration of the audiobook, though, actually, because you did, you wrote it, and obviously there was a lot of detail. That was a bigger process. Was it kind of like a, yeah, sure, narration, let's do it? Or is it kind of maybe like, I guess?
And that's what I was doing. Yeah. That's what I said. It's exactly, And that's how I feel inside. But no, of course I was going to do it. I mean, I've done voiceover for a living, so I wasn't going to have somebody come in and, narrate the thing. I had to tell it. It's from my voice, so I was going to do it. It was just the part where I did squeal like that was when it came to the 911 call. And I'm like, I'm not going to reenact this 911 call. I mean, I was there. I'm just not. I just wasn't. And so I said, let's just use the live audio from. It was recorded, so let's just use that. So that saved me from trying to act out any of my friends or family's voices or character or thing. Let me just tell the story, and then I can be as honest and truthful as I can without it being too affected. If there's some sort of sense of humor points in there, it's probably better that I kind of share then some of the random voice too as well. So, but having the 911 call, and then my daughter's essay, you know, to sort of start off the book was, that was more of a last minute thing. She asked me, she showed me that story. So I said, well, let's just go do that. Yeah, it was a great thing to be able to do it. They gave me a couple weeks to do it. I knocked it out in 5 days and didn't sleep at all. Snapped a tooth.
Snapped a tooth?
Yeah, I keep cracking teeth from, you know, from night terrors, you know how it goes.
We love you, Jeremy.
That's all good. I'm titanium now.
I also want to go back to something that you mentioned, what I thought was very interesting, is that you said you also wrote an album. So in addition to this, and I'm so curious of that. I know that the process was kind of what was holding you back from the book in the beginning, but was there ever a point where you were like, writing the music with the album, like that helped me and I don't necessarily need to do this other step? Or was it like, I should do both?
What's great about the record is this guy wrote it with many friends that I've written other music with for in the past, over the last 10 years. So it was a way I hadn't seen anybody since the incident, and this is the summertime, so 6 months later. So it was a kind of way for us to kind of get together socially, even though I wasn't really social so much. It was kind of half there. Takes a lot of energy to manage pain and walking and all this stuff. So but it was sort of like a collective experience for us to share something beautiful. I mean, they were affected as well by the incident, and so it's a way of healing and doing something actively together. And then also when you make music too, it's something that didn't exist before. Like if anybody's an artist, you could draw or something, and it didn't exist before your hand touched the canvas, and then now this magical picture happens. Or in music, different instruments, and we could all play instruments at the same time. So when that happens, there's magic that happens in a room, and someone just starts to play the drums, and one guitar or keyboard or whatever, and the melodies come out, and we start to talk an idea on something like Wait. Like, Wait for Me was the song, this is about my daughter. Let's do this one, okay, wait. So that song comes out. So this magic starts to happen, and this healing starts to happen. It's also a releasing of I remember, and there's a photo of this is what I was also trying to explain to my friends who I hadn't seen in 6 months since I croaked, right? And look, so I was showing them some photos from the hospital, some videos, and just some of the experiences I didn't see of recovery. Because I was looking pretty good at that point. I was walking around, I looked, fairly normal. But one of the photos was when I first saw my daughter, and that's where that image became how we write with the song Wait, and so that whole thing came about. And so to be able to do that with people, that's such an act of love, right? And such there's artistry in it in itself, but it's very healing and beautiful to share. And the whole album was written that way, and written in probably a week. We wrote it all pretty quick. Wow. I mean, the first song was actually written by the dialogue that happened in the Diane Sawyer interview that happened 3 months after the incident. I don't know if anybody saw that, but I did this interview with her, and she asked me something about, what is your takeaway from all this? You're sitting here. I'm like, well, look, I may have lost a lot of flesh and bone, but I'm full of love and titanium. And I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good line. Well, maybe I'll make that a song, or maybe be the title of a book. I said that thing in the interview. And sure enough, my buddy saw it, and he put together some stuff and used all the words in it to kind of create a little bit of the song, at least the beginnings of it. And so otherwise, it's nice to share stuff. It's nice to, all I care about is a shared experience, especially, if it's a good one. It can be a bad one, but when it's a shared experience, it's a memory. I don't have any memories of doing things good or bad alone. All mine or the ones that you take with you, or the ones that you share. They don't always have to be good, but shared experience is, to me, one of the most powerful experiences you can have, and the only thing I choose to have. And so writing music is one of them.
Speaking of shared experiences, you have been able more recently to be able to share outside of just your projects, you've been able to share more about health and wellness, kind of overcoming obstacles, the challenges that you went through, the challenges that your family went through. You've all been very open about this. And so what is something else maybe, or you can expand on those, that you've just been able to speak about more recently that you are really appreciative getting the chance to share now?
Well, I think just the idea of that, that's not, I'm a pretty private guy and try to keep private life private, but as the incident, my hand was forced to be this not a private experience. It happened on my driveway, my time, my dime of my nephew, and shouldn't be anybody else's business. But I'm so glad that it wasn't a private experience, because I needed everyone's prayers to keep me going. I needed all of that. I think the idea of, because obviously I shared a lot of the recovery on Instagram and things like that, just to share some of the journeys to keep people kind of abreast. I kept trying to move past it. Like after the Diane story, I think, okay, great, people know what happened, now I can move on. Let me try to get back to some sort of a semblance of a life. But it just didn't go that way. The ripple effect kept forcing me to share more. And so when you talk about sharing, what do you want to share? It's like, I think I've been given permission. Like I say, I feel like we're all, or at least most, are on the same page of seeing who I am as a man, just a guy that overcame some obstacles, and maybe not a guy that slings fake arrows. I became much more human, or seemingly so, or treated so. Or at least it feels like I'm treated more like a man than I am, seen more as the man that I am. And that's been the greatest blessing from the incident. All I had to do was die. God damn it. Sorry, first kids. Yeah. Why? Get me out of here! But so it's a great place to be. I love being open and vulnerable and being witnessed for the man that I am. I think all of us aspire to have that. I think that to me is the definition of what love is to be witnessed. There's the seeds of love, is to be witnessed and be seen for who you are. And I think we all aspire to that. That we all want to be witnessed. We all want to be loved, essentially. We all want to be connected in that pure form, because that's what we all are anyway. That is what we take with us when we exit this body. We are all living it now, but it's great to be able to share, man, and share in a real way. Share the love, I guess. Just sharing goodness and sharing love, man. And I live a very purposed and intended life in everything I do, and I do it openly and honestly, and with joy for the next step and my next breath.
I had heard you mention spending hours working on your recovery, especially in those early months. And we've talked about how we've also now written an album. And while the recovery was a main focus, in the later months, did you develop any hobbies during your recovery time? Read any impactful books? Become obsessed with any TV shows or movies?
I watched. Anybody watch the show Alone? Yes. It's that survival show. It's not this survivor show. It's not like a contest thing, but it's more like just really living out in the middle of nowhere, and you get like 10 items, and these people and it's interesting that they, even though you're really good at it, most people have to leave the show because they're alone. And I don't know if I watched because that recovery is the loneliest place. I think anybody here that's been through some obstacles. It could be mental suffering. It's sort of suffering. It's a very lonely business, right? I don't know why I watched it because of that. I'm like, I can do this. I can do that. How long can I last out there? I don't know. Whatever it was. Like, I had nothing else to do. I'm like laying flat on my back for a while. With like rubber bands as my exercise machine. But I think I became very.
I was more interested in, it's a 24-hour job, recovery, right? And I gamified recovery. I tried to make it fun, whatever it was. My fuel was my family to heal them. It's just, I had to get better so I can see their faces smile, if I can make them laugh. And you know what I mean? I can relieve them of the burden I put upon them. For my daughter, you know, it's like I just gamified I didn't look at the severity of it all. I just, just one thing at a time, and it's one small victory at a time. 1,000 trillion small victories got me to milestones, step, to breathe, to move on, to continue, right? And so to gamify that was like, I made it fun, right? Because it certainly isn't fun, dude, right? It's not a fun thing to it's overwhelming. So yeah, I think I found these random games I would play, and that was, I think, the mentality of that, to try to keep optimism going. Don't get me wrong, there was these damn birds in the springtime, and they would come peck on my window because they thought because there was a kind of mirrored kind of tint on the windows, right? So they kept seeing themselves. So they're thinking because they're very competitive, these birds, they're very territorial when they're nesting. And so they're pecking. And the reason why it's a problem, because they would do it like 5 in the morning. And I'm like, all I cared about was my sleep. And if I didn't get I would sleep like a good 12, 14 hours, which was awesome. But if I didn't get that, it'd be a really grumpy son of a bitch. And these birds like tick, 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 tick. And I'm like, I literally found a way so I gamified it to like, Alex, give me my wheelchair. He's like, where are you going? I can't even fit through the thing. I get my pellet gun. I'm gonna kill these birds. I literally sat out there in my wheelchair like I was gonna kill these birds. Like I was gonna be able to take a shot, and impossible. It's not gonna happen.
At 5 a.m.
But I did. What else did I have to do? I had nothing to do in my life. So, then they put up like my headshots of Hawkeye on the window, thinking maybe that would scare him. So we had to just gamified sort of the recovery process of how to solve problems, right? Recovery is just problem solving, I'm peeing in a jar, how do I make it to the toilet? All right, let's figure it out. Let's move to that. So I was always trying to find some sort of wonderful, challenge or game or to make light of a quite harrowing, sort of condition.
Speaking of gamifying,
I always highly recommend it, man. try to think of something besides what's actually reality for you,
well, kind of to expand on the gamifying of things, can you talk about your first day back at work after all of this? And like, did you have any personal goals for yourself? Was it like, if I can do like 4 hours, that's like the victory,
Yeah. Getting back to work was a year after the incident. Randomly did a Super Bowl commercial with my daughter for Silk. That was the first one. That was right before going back to Mary Kingstown, and it was really strange. I knew I wanted to get back to work, because I loved that show. I loved the character. I did want to get back into life because recovery time went from 24 hours down to 12 hours a day to 8 hours. And I'm like, if I can get it down to 4 hours a day, I could get back to work and have life be part of my recovery. Because in life, we walk around, we move, and that's part of my recovery. So I'm like, that would be kind of win-win. I was battling a little bit the importance of fictional narrative. I still kind of do, because I live in a very, very real, non-fictional world. Because I'll always be in recovery. So, am I going to go say some fake words and do this stuff? I'm like, do I really need to do this? And so again, I got out of my way. Obviously, because we have another season coming up, and very excited about it. But it was a little battle at first because I was still struggling with hemoglobin and all that. When you're tattoo, I don't know if anybody knows blood stuff, but I started doing a lot of work on internal medicine stuff, my cellular level and blood levels, and to figure out how to heal that way as well. And it was great to get back, and it creates a lot of jobs. It's good for me to have an semblance of any sort of normalcy in my life. That was encouraging for my mental health. And I'm glad I'm back, man. It's like this. This is my second season. We just finished since the incident, and I'll be. I think I'm signing on to finish it off in 2 more. So. We found a cool end. I'm not going to tell you, but we found a really cool end, I think, to the show. So, yeah, man, it feels good to get back. It's also like there's a lot of love on that set as well. Like it's like a big extended family for me. And boy, you know, it's a vulnerable place. And when you have a lot of love and support, man, you got to lean on people. And I was never good at it, and I'm really good at it now. And I find there's the depth of love and my friendships has grown because of that.
I want to talk about one of your upcoming projects, which is Wake Me Up Dead, a Knives Out mystery. It's set to release this year. Such an exciting franchise. How was your experience working on that film?
It was great. It was great. I mean, I love. It's great to do ensemble again. It's not so much weight on your shoulders to carry something. And also a known sort of franchise. It's a great one. It's a great departure of things I've done recently, and I love everybody involved. That's why I did it, and also because Ryan Johnson's fantastic. And I love the tone too of these kind of films. And this one's even this third one is I think quite special and a little bit different. Can't say much about it, as you know, but I'm well trained from Marvel. So, but it's really. I haven't even seen it, and I'm going to see it come. I think September at the Toronto Film Festival, because I think they do the circuit of Toronto Film Festival, maybe the London Film Festival, and it'll come out later at the end of the year. But I'm really excited. You guys, I think, will really love it. It's I can't wait to share it with you. I can't wait to see it, but I'll see it come September. Yeah. It's also great too, because it's shot in London, and I vowed never to work outside the United States because it took me too far for my daughter. And then now that she's older, I took 15 of my family members with me, and they went and had a whole summer vacation in Europe while Daddy worked, you know? So it worked out great. I mean, I really kind of did it for that, first and foremost, selfishly. Like, what am I going to get out of this? It was like getting to share, because most of my family's not that well traveled and didn't have the opportunities to, so giving them those opportunities was a really great thing. I got to take my mom and my daughter to the Olympics. We took the train over under the water and went to the Olympics. Like, that was the coolest thing. It's like all these great experiences to share with my mom. My mom has sacrificed everything in life for all her kids. That poor girl's not seen hardly anything on this planet. And what a great honor it was for me to share that with her, man. It was awesome. She's getting lit on beer, watching volleyball. Whatever, Mom, it's great. But it's like, it's such a great, you know, thanks to Knives Out for allowing me to do that with my mom and my daughter, man. That's so cool, right?
I was gonna say, is it now like, are they coming to you and be like, hey, if you get a job that's like in Ireland or something, will you take it?
Yeah. Well, because yeah, look, it means so much to me because that kind of job normally took me away from all those that I loved. And it made me quite cantankerous because of that. Didn't know I loved my job and I loved to travel, but at the end of the day, I was missing all those. I didn't get to share with anybody I loved. I wrote a little bit about this in the book, I think. And so it was nice that I could take all the people I love and care about, for the most part, with me to my work. And we don't get to do that, right? If we work for, like, you know, public works, you know, you're not taking your family into your job, but like it was just great to be able to share my life with my family while I work. And I think that's now a prerequisite for anything I do in the future. Because there was like so much of my career that was my family's ripped from me. So, and I just don't have time to waste now to be away from those that I love. But I'm still working. I'm still doing my stuff.
So there's one more question I would like to ask, and then I'm going to open up into fan Q&A. So if you would like to start lighting up, please do so carefully. I know we've talked a lot about your past work, your upcoming work, but if there are any other projects you are working on, whether professional ones that you could talk about or even personal ones that you would like to share a little bit more about.
Doomsday!
Look, I'm not really a future guy, man. I let go of all the wreckage of the past, and I certainly, I consider the future, but I am wholeheartedly invested in the present. So, as simple as my next step or my next breath is how I start my day. And I try to keep it as simple because I think life is simple, and when it's kept in such a way, I find so much more connectivity and beauty in it, not filling it with the white noise or the complications of that life seems to bring us if we allow it. I always allowed way too much nonsense in my life prior. And so as far as future stuff, I consider the idea of other things. And I'll always dance with Marvel, right? I'll always dance with them, sure. When appropriate, when it's rocking. Like I'm happy to do season 2 Hawkeye. I love that character. So much for us to do. We went into many discussions about the shape of that season and stuff. It's getting my body right and getting everything right for that is, the timing of that will come. And it's like if there's still need and want and desire for it, then yeah. So that's always in my brain, of like, for as far as future sort of work and things like that. But I think I'll just continue doing the things I've been doing, but how I go about doing them is the only thing that's changed. Like I told you, like my priority has always been my family, and now nothing's gonna get in the way of it. My priority is definitely on the Rennervation Foundation. It's a nonprofit that I started to help foster youth and disadvantaged youth. Because these kids have a lot of challenges in their lives, and I'm going to help mitigate some of these challenges for them, fill in the gaps of the broken foster care system. These kids need the love and attention as every other kid gets, and they need the opportunities. So I'm going to be there and help these kids, and I love it, and it's so rewarding to me. It's a great shared experience with these kids. I'm doing another camp here on August 3rd. Cannot wait. These are going to be a little bit different. These are going to be older kids about to age out, and I'm going to let them know that they're not going to be forgotten and put out in the streets. And we're going to be bridging the gap for these kids that are aging out of foster care systems. So we're going to have a camp for them and give them some good fun and good support and good community. So that's a huge priority in my life. My family's a big part of that. A lot of my friends are a part of the foundation as well. And so that'll keep me pretty active for the rest of my days.
All right,
Love them kids.
we'll
Love
start
them
over
kids.
here. What is your name and what is your question?
Hi, my name is Isaiah, and my question is, when you were starting out as an actor, how did you overcome the obstacles of thinking you're not gonna get this part, you're not gonna be able to do this, you're gonna be swelled up in this this whole world, they're not gonna see you, you're not gonna be what you want to be,
Well, I mean, it's easy. I said the opposite. I sort of made manifest, I dare you not to cast me. And not with ego or anything like that. It's just like, it means I was prepared, I was confident in what I was doing. If I thought about the 1,000 other guys that look just like me, just as all the things, right? And all the kind of the negative ideas or even the real truths of it. But I focused instantly on the truths and what I would do. Have a good sense of yourself. And so the only obstacle in your way would be you. And I removed that obstacle. So that's how I do it.
Over here, hello, what is your name and what is your question?
My name is Emilio. It's an honor to meet you, Jeremy.
My question is, what is the most memorable or impactful experience you had while playing a role? If it's a specific scene or line that resonated with you profoundly.
Impactful role. The Hurt Locker hurt. That impacted me a lot, personally, physically, spiritually. And then also how the reach that small movie had, and so proud to be part of that film for what it means to our service people and the bridge to our community. I think it's the first woman to win Best Director. I think that was phenomenal to be a part of it. It was against her ex-husband, James Cameron, for Avatar, the highest grossing movie of all time. And we got to beat him. That was pretty awesome, this David and Goliath little movie. So, but I'll just personally, it affected me a lot. Shooting it was 135 degree heat, and then during the Iraq War in Jordan, in a 100-pound bomb suit. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was like, it's not hot anymore. It's just like, oh, this is interesting. This is normal. Yeah, our makeup was just our hands in the sand and put a bunch of dirt in our face. Yeah, I loved it, man. It impacted me a lot. And I saw that movie too because I only saw it once, all the way through. But I saw the last 10 minutes probably about 1,500 times. And I did that because of the impact of the movie. I needed to be in that headspace because we screened it a lot to our service people, to just a lot of audiences and to film festivals everywhere, well before it came out. And it was something really quite magical. It wasn't a movie anymore. It just became sort of a beginning of a dialogue. And there was something really special about that. When there's a real an impact on people, and I found that to be probably the most impactful sort of role if I had to pick one. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's like I'm getting pulled over or something. It feels like I gotta.
Hi, I'm Irene.
Hi.
Hi, and I have an Age of Ultron question.
Okay, test my memory.
There is a scene between you and Quicksilver and Scarlet the Witch, and it's supposedly somebody threw in a line that wasn't in the script. What was going through your head before that line came out?
Do you remember the line? I know. I feel like there's a bunch of them. I tend to do that a lot.
No, it's a part where he comes and grabs her and goes, and then you're running after him going, what is it?
Oh, nobody's gonna know?
There you go.
There you go. No. Nobody's gonna know. Yeah, that was actually kind of discussed. I think I might have said something off the cuff. I was with Josh. Josh was really good about allowing for coming up with little quip things. Yeah, if it works, you don't want to play the joke. If it's just funny, fine, it might work, but it has to also work within the tone of the film. So what instantly works in a scene doesn't always make it to the cut. But when it does make it to the cut, then it's considering that it's working in tone. And I love the opportunity to find that. To me, that helps define Clint Barton. You know what I mean? He's pragmatic and realism he is, and a superhero with no superpowers, but he's still pretty badass. And, quite wry and funny, too.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dylan. Quite honored to meet you, Jeremy, also known as Clint Barton. My question is, picture we are in the Avengers world. What Avenger would you allow to babysit your kids?
There you go.
Natasha, I guess.
Why Black Widow compared to anyone else?
Well, the Hulk will smash. Iron Man's too arrogant. He'll just forget the kid's there. Who else? Captain America. I guess Captain America, but I don't think he's got the sensitive touch. Thor. Really? He'd be too busy combing his hair. Yeah. No, I'm gonna stick with Scarlet and Black Widow, looking after my kid.
Hello, Jeremy. My name's Tristan. You're a great musician and actor, so my question goes along with that. Do you have interest in being in a big-scale Broadway production or in a musical? And if so, which one?
Yeah, that's come up. You know, it's getting closer to that time. You know, my daughter's getting older. She would love to. She asked me if she could see me on Broadway because she just saw a Broadway show for the first time. She's like, Dad, you should do this. That'd be cool. But the real issue is time. It's such a huge time commitment and energy commitment. I don't have it in me just yet. I got offered to do To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway, and I thought, wow, what a great opportunity. This is the time to do it. I got to do this. And then even if it's they do a short run at 3 to 6 months, it's still the amount of energy, and then also have to move to New York, and like, man, I just don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm ready. So, but yeah, do I want to? That's where I started, man. I started in musical theater and on stage, and it really is the greatest thing. It's like this. It's like having the energy of live performance is just magical. I was at a show last night, just watched Toto in West Palm Beach, and it's like watching like live performance. It's like, I grew up with this band. I haven't listened to them too much since like back in the 80s, but like watching them again, like they're incredible. And like just, there's a packed, sold out show, but I love that energy exchange, and to be a part of that, I think is really special. So at some point, somehow, some way, I'll get out of my own dang way and get back on the stage and perform. I'm still young.
Good afternoon. My name is James. This question I ask on behalf of a friend. Based with your stellar recovery, your career as a writer, your success as a musician, and all the future projects that are coming up, will we see a return of the Jeremy Renner app?
The time is like my only currency, and I don't know if I have time for I mean, if someone else ran it, but I don't have the time for much anything outside of like, the basics of life. I can't overcomplicate my life. As much as I like to reach out and be a part of other people's lives as much as I can, but I'm only one man. I can only do so many things.
All right, thank you for your question.
I love you.
Hello?
Hi, Jeremy. My name is Robert. It's great that you're still with us. And my question is, Hawkeye has been kind of like underutilized aside from all the other Avengers. And I wanted to know if there's any specific like storyline or anything that you would like to see with Hawkeye in the future. It doesn't have to be something that you know is going to happen, even just something that you would like to see that character go through, any storyline or anything that you want to be able to have done with that character.
I think there's so many things written. I'm not a big comic guy, but I have access to them. There's like stacks and stacks and stacks of them, and I like West Coast Avengers. That's pretty cool. But when you lead, because Avengers is getting pretty vast, and there's thousands of them at this point. But when you gotta have like simplification of storylines, and you can't have too many supers in a room. You know what I mean? It's like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna arm wrestle for things? What's happening? So I feel like in the narrative, when you play to what these characters are and what their abilities are, and where their hearts are, and what they can do, and So yeah, I like the idea of West Coast Avengers. Always just like to me, when Barton's in the worlds that are more pragmatic, then he could be more utilized. But you don't throw the guy in space. Don't throw him on a rocket ship somewhere. What's he gonna do? Drive the ship? put him in place where he can thrive. You know what I mean? So I think it's just that kind of thing. And I think they're pretty smart about doing that typically. But I think there's a lot of comics out there already written that we use in sort of the narrative. We used a lot of that, the fraction stuff for the Hawkeye series, and we're kind of going to continue with that with the second season, as we were mentioning. But yeah, I'm always down for whatever the narrative is, but yeah, utilize them, right? Utilize them.
Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have today. But if you would like to come say hi, you are signing downstairs.
Yes.
You are signing, so if you want to come say hi, say hi.
Come say hi.
Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us here today, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate